Hey everyone, Kevin Muldoon here, and this is my first Google Hangout in a couple of years. This was something I was hoping to do with some Rise forum members. Unfortunately, Heather Ash couldn't actually get her computer working. She's since discovered that she only has 2 gigabytes of RAM. So when we were messing around with it, we just couldn't get it going. We couldn't get the video and the audio to sync. You know, it was a lot of kind of jumping back and forward. Now, this is my first video in like 2 years, so, well, for Google Hangouts, and I really need to try and figure out how all this works. And the last time I used Google Hangouts, I think there was about 5 icons at the left-hand side, and now there is about 10 or 11. So the last hour I've just been kind of playing about with everything, trying to figure out what it all does, etc. So the idea with this is when you do a live hangout, people can watch you live, but they can ask questions and I should be able to respond to it. Well, that is the idea. So I'm going to try and see where these comments would come from. Now, I think they're displayed on YouTube, which I've got on this screen, but they've got a comment tracker on Google Hangouts as well, but it doesn't seem to be. I think that's displaying right. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Muldoon. I'm a blogger and I blog at kevinmuldoon.com. I've had other blogs in the past, but I'm mainly at the moment I'm mainly known for my blog kevinmuldoon.com and my discussion forum riseforums.com. Rise Forums is like it's for internet marketers, so it's for like people who own websites, people who use social media, Twitter, Facebook, website developers, coders, designers, all that kind of thing. So I posted a new discussion on Rise Forums recently, and I was just asking if anyone wanted to participate in a Google Hangout. Now, I've been looking at a few different things to do, like when it comes to doing a Hangout. I could do one for Rise Forums, but the other one I'd like to do is like technology. So I've been trying to get more involved in YouTube, and hopefully through my channel, what I'm going to be doing is a lot more kind of technology type, you know, like videos, for example, unboxings and reviews, and, you know, like you review like cameras and things like that. I'm a bit of a geek in that respect, and I know that's kind of boring for a lot of people, but that's, you know, I'm quite interested in that kind of thing. But the other thing would be Rise Forums, and the idea would be like I talk and other people just kind of turn up and ask questions, or I would just start having a discussion with other members, you know, other website owners. So unfortunately, Heather couldn't come because of the problems she had with her computer. So just to kind of give you a kind of brief work around where I'm sitting just now, like this is my main office. It's just a converted bedroom, and I've got my main bedroom in there. You can see it's quite bright. And if you looked at my YouTube channel the other week, you probably saw that I unboxed softboxes. And also they've got lighting because it's, what time is it? It's 10:35 at night just now. I've just got a message from Chris. Oh, it's me watching you. Ask a question, Chris, if you're watching. And let me know if it's streaming okay, because I'm hoping that it's all streaming. And, you know, I watched a stream last night with Cine Massacre, like a video game channel. And there was a lot of kind of jumping about a lot, and it was, you know, the audio wasn't working too good. Wasn't sure if that was something to do with Google Hangouts or if it was through his connection or computer. But hopefully you can all hear me and see me okay. So yeah, we're in my office. I've got my webcam sitting here. You can see I've got 2 monitors here, but I've actually moved the Google Hangout page, you know, the big box that opens up in Chrome, and I've moved it to this monitor. And the reason being, if I've got it here, I'm going to have to constantly, you know, look that way whilst you're looking at me from that direction. So yeah, the softboxes, I use them I've used them like once or twice now for videos, and I thought everything was okay when I used it like with the little Sony camera and with my smartphone for an unboxing the other week. The softboxes seemed great, but when I put it on tonight, I had them set up in the exact same position, and they were sitting like one there and one to the side, and you could hardly see my face. You couldn't hardly see my face because it was so bright. They just show so much light. So I've had to try and point them up the way and then point them to the wall. So the light that's coming in just now is kind of just reflecting off the wall. So you can see I've just got a little cheap monitor here, and I've got my iMac. This one here, it never gets used. I didn't actually buy it specifically for my office. I've got a gym outside, with a punch bag and things like that, and used to always get in train, but I bought a TV for it because, I was getting in training. It's quite boring getting in for an hour or so, and I'm just listening to music. So I bought this TV, it's a TV stroke monitor, and the idea was to just put it up on the wall, and then, I could play movies and things like that. But unfortunately, I bought it and it was close to winter. So I was going to place it in, and I was going in every day, and it was freezing, absolutely freezing. It was cold to the point where, if I didn't keep moving, I would start shivering. So I just kept it in the house. I thought, right, I'll do it later. And eventually, I had it in my bedroom, and then I just moved it in here so that I can connect it for my PlayStation, which I haven't really used in quite a few months. The other thing is, I'm not sure if you can hear that. Can you hear that noise? I don't know if you can see it in the shot. Hopefully you can see this in the shot. But you can see this. That's just a chair from. It's actually a chair from my garden. I need to still watch. This is why I wanted to do a kind of test first, because my eyes keep getting drawn towards this monitor, but I should really be looking at this webcam so you can all see me. Yeah, that chair's from a little table. I've got a little table outside for the summer, like with a parasol, and I had to bring that chair in. And the reason being that I didn't have any other chairs. The other ones I've got in my kitchen are like bar stools, so they're not suitable. But the reason I had to do that is because this chair is like super squeaky, and I really need to replace it. And that's been a problem. Like, see, when I was doing like unboxing videos, I've been sitting here and try not to make too much noise. You can be a little bit anal about this, but you try not to get too close to the microphone, and you get heavy breathing, which is something I do quite a lot because if I'm wheezy and I need to take my inhaler, a lot of my breathing will come through and I'm going like that. So I'm trying to cut that out, but then every so often, if I'm sitting in a chair, just hear. So what I've had to do is, like, when I'm doing videos recently, I've had to actually move this chair over to the side and then bring out this kind of old deck chair type thing, which is not obviously ideal. It's kind of crazy when I'm sitting in, it doesn't cost me much to get a new chair, but I've just not got around to doing it. So yeah, the idea is, for me to do 2 types of Hangouts through my YouTube channel. I like the idea of doing these Google Hangouts live on air because I could do it for like half an hour and an hour, and then it just automatically streams to my YouTube channel. So what that means is people can watch live at the time and they can ask questions. I realize I've not got a big following just now, but they can do that. But then afterwards, people who missed it can then watch, they can catch up and watch it later on. And that saves me a lot of hassle as well. If I'm trying to do recordings for videos and then you have to upload, when you stream in Google Hangouts, it's all getting streamed live, so you don't have to upload to YouTube. Like a 10-minute or a 30-minute video would probably take hours and hours and hours to upload to YouTube, even with a half-decent connection. So it really is worthwhile if you just want to sit and talk about a subject to try Google Hangouts. I realize it's not the most, it's hard to kind of get everything perfectly, and if you make any mistakes, there's no turning back, So there's always the chance that in the middle of a recording like this that you could your mind goes blank and you don't know what to say or whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of going off tangent here, but that's essentially what my idea is. I'm going to be doing Hangouts where I'll be doing talks and for members of Rise forums and like answering questions, but I'll also be discussing things with them, and hopefully they'll be able to take part. I'm not sure what the limit will be for that. I think if you get 2 or 3 people talking, it's good, but then when you get like 10 people, it's just going to be a bit of a babble. But I'm keen to do like technology type things as well, like anything like cameras, computers, smartphones, anything that requires a battery and that kind of thing. So I'm not too organized for this. This Hangout was more about me just trying to figure out how it all works so that I can kind of get it all right the next time, if that makes sense. This is essentially just a trial run for me to try and figure out how it all works, and hopefully I'll be able to kind of iron out all the mistakes and the bugs I say the mistakes and the bugs. The bugs are with me. You know, Google Hangout seems to be working okay for me, but I really just have to figure out how a lot of this works as far as comments. I mean, that's the one thing I'm trying to figure out just now. Chris sent a message, but he's actually working on something just now. He sent a message privately, so it didn't come up. I'm keen to know what happens though. Like that's confusing. I'm going to stream myself live whilst watching myself live. That's just asking for my computer to crash. So yeah, I think the idea is I've got my page open just now. I've got it open on the Google event thing that I created. And I believe that comments just appear here. When I looked at the video with someone streaming last night on Cinemassacre, it was recorded, what do you call him again? Mike, or as he calls himself, motherfucking Mike. He had the video, and then there was lots of people just asking questions below. But I was looking at all. I was watching it live through my phone at the time. You know, I think I was just lying at bed at the time. And I was just watching it live and looking at the comment streaming. But it wasn't working correctly for me. I couldn't actually post a comment at the time. I was trying to ask a question myself. So I'm not sure how this all works. So as I said, I'm quite unorganized as far as having topics to talk about. But one of the things I'd like to touch upon is something that Joe brought up. Joe started a thread on Rise forums, and the thread was entitled "Blogging is Hard." It was basically Joe had noticed that when he started looking for writers for his blog, he realized that most of the people applying were terrible. And this is something that I have known for a long time. I first started blogging years ago, actively about 2007, but I used to do in 2006 as well. And I think it was within 6 months after launching the blog that I launched Blogging Tips. I started looking for writers, and I started accepting guest posts. And for years, I did accept guest posts until I got to the point where I was just like, no, I don't want to accept any more guest posts because they're all terrible. I think it was, you know, there's no word of an exaggeration that if I had like 1,000 submissions for guest posts, like over the space of like, 3-4 years, you're probably lucky if probably 20 or 30 were good enough for publication. And even those, most of those required a lot of editing. So what I've always done in my blogs, every blog which I've ran, including kevmuldoon.com, bloggingtips.com, wpmods.com, I would create a page and it'd be like blogging guidelines. And I would say things like, the article has to be like 1,000 words. You need to give references for anything that you quote in your article. You need to use images. You need to use proper grammar, proper spelling, etc. And then you would get the email and, oh yeah, of course, I'll not let you down, blah, blah, blah. And they'll send you the email and they'll say, oh, check out the post. Sometimes this would happen like an hour later and you're like, hold on a minute, you never wrote an article that is good quality an hour later. Like, no, don't worry, it's fine. And then you check out the article, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but see, when you're checking a lot of guest posts, it can take a lot of your week, checking all these posts. I mean, essentially you become an editor for all these other people to submit posts. You check out the article and it's terrible. Like, there's spelling mistakes, there's grammatical mistakes, there's no images, there's no quotes. This happens all. This is something. I mean, the images, like not putting images in, is bizarre in a way because you're always stressed that you need images, and spelling mistakes and all that. Fine, but the reference thing always annoyed me. Like, people would just, like, in the middle of the article, they would say 50% of people would believe this, 40% of WordPress users think this, and you're like, where are you getting this from? You need to link to the reference. You need to link to it. And they're like, oh, I don't know what it is now. You're like, well, don't write that if you don't have the reference. And it's difficult. And you go back and you give them the benefit of doubt and you say, well, okay, you need to correct your spelling here, here, and here. You need to, you've made some grammatical mistakes here, and you can't, the sentence doesn't make any sense anymore. You need to upload a couple of images. You need to make sure you're entitled to use them and give credit, a copyright link to them for any image you take from Flickr or whatever. And you go, bum, 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 list about 5 or 6 points. And then they'll come back and like an hour later or 20 minutes later sometimes and go, oh, okay, I've fixed all the mistakes you pointed out. Can you get it published within the next hour? And you're like, all right, that was quick. You then go on and you check the article again and like nothing has changed. They've maybe like corrected 1 or 2 spelling mistakes and there's still no images. And you go back and go, right, what the hell are you doing? I've just pointed out your mistakes. Oh, okay, all right, sorry. And you're like, no, forget it. And it gets to the point where you just say to them, like, no, I'm not going to accept anything. And they're like, no, I'll do it properly this time. You're like, no, I'm not going to waste any more of my time trying to get this article correct. The annoying thing is, see all this emailing back and forward, all these kind of corrections and trying to point out things to people. Oh, sorry, my microphone just fell off there. All these things. Apologies, I'll turn this off for a second. I realise that's a horrible noise to hear, but it's all ruffling about. Yeah, going back to what I said with all these people submitting it, going back and forward all these emails, like trying to point out all the mistakes, it gets to the point where, it's just counterproductive. You could actually spend 2 hours of your life trying to correct someone else's mistakes than just writing the article yourself. And that's why I got to the point where I was just like, no, I don't accept guest posts. I don't accept them. And people are like, oh, well, check out this article. You're like, no. And eventually what I would do is just go out and seek out good authors and hire them directly. And then generally don't accept any guest posts unless someone has a really good proven track record of publishing good articles. So I think this was an interesting point, because one thing that's always annoying me is kind of like people that think that blogging is easy. Now, Leo had pointed out something. He spoke about someone who owns an e-commerce website, and Andrew Udarian. And he says that they said that they struggle with blogging, they struggle with time, and they struggle with things to write about. Now, this is something that I can relate to. I mean, any blogger can relate to that. But I think the biggest problem that I've had with other people, that bloggers have had, is that people think blogging is easy. The people think, well, if you can write, if you can read, then you can blog. I mean, anyone can. It takes you 5 minutes to, like, open up a brand new website using WordPress and then just start a new article and then publish it. It's so easy. And I mean, the WordPress visual editor is no different to Microsoft Word or any other kind of word processor. And that really, I mean, that was the thing. Like, all these kind of content management systems and blog platforms, they really removed the barrier that stopped a lot of people getting into building websites. Like, back when I started websites in 2000, nearly everyone who like created websites, I mean, they created it themselves. They understood the HTML code. They created everything themselves. But then all these kind of automated scripts came along, which was a good thing. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing, but what it meant is it removed the barrier from having to learn any code or anything to actually start a website. And again, the problem with that is you've got a lot of people trying to build websites who, I don't know, they just never gave it the kind of respect it deserves. The problem, I've always had a kind of problem with this. I guess you could say it's a chip on the shoulder about this, but a lot of people look at blogging as easy. If you can read and write, then you can blog. But that's not the case. I mean, I started blogging, pretty much every day in 2007, but for 6 or 7 years before that, I was writing articles and tutorials and reviews for the other websites that I owned. Not to the extent of writing articles every single day, but I was doing it. But even then, in 2007, I mean, if I go back and look at my articles, they're really, really bad, cringeworthy, really, really, really poor. And it took a lot of time, it takes practice, you need to read a lot, you need to write a lot, you need to start looking at your own articles and then trying to improve the things that need to be addressed, whether it be grammar or spelling or adding images and, format and styling your posts. And what I'm trying to kind of go a long way around to say is, though, that is blogging is a skill like any other. I think people assume that they'll be good at blogging right away, but it wasn't like that for me. And people will maybe label me like expert or professional blogger. I'm probably not. And I don't know if I should be giving myself that title, but when you look at the amount of people out there who are blogging, I would definitely say that I'm like one of the better ones. But I think it's really difficult trying to deal with that though, because a lot of these other website owners, like etc., they always thought that blogging was easy, and because of that, they kind of treated bloggers badly, in my opinion. As I said, it took me years to get to the point where I thought I was a good blogger. I was making a lot of mistakes in the past, but website owners, for many years, they were treating bloggers with a lot of disrespect in a way. So I kind of fell into the whole freelance writing thing, because people would hire me for tutorial websites, like Smashing Magazine, etc. They saw some of my articles, then hired me, then a few other websites did the same. Now, once I started I got to the point where I would then put an advertisement page, like a services page on my blog, and say, look, I'm available for hire. So I would get a lot of approaches for companies saying, well, you want to write for us? And I'm like, oh, okay. And they'll say, no, we expect you to write the article for free. Basically, essentially, they wanted a guest post, and they'll say, well, no, we'll give you a link for free, and it's a PR4 website. And I was like, I'm not going to spend like 3-4 hours of my life writing a big long article for you, and all you give me is one link back. And the thing is as well, website owners, they'll say you're getting a PR4 link. It's not a PR4 link, because that's only if you had a link on the home page. They're saying it's a PR4 link, but this was back when obviously PageRank was the big thing. But essentially, your article, if I'd written an article for them, it would eventually be a PR1 or 2. And it's not worth me spending 3-4 hours of my life for a one PR link back to my website, which, by the way, they can remove at any time. Simply remove the reference from me as the author, which you'd be surprised about. It's happened to me a few times. And this was a problem for many years, because the whole guest posting thing, bloggers started using, to promote their blogs. They started writing articles for websites for free to get exposure. People would blog on websites like ProBlogger and Daily Blog Tips, etc. I mean, I did the same. I let people blog on my website for free as well sometimes. The ones that were good enough. But the problem is, it completely devalued what blogging was about. I would refuse and say, like, I'm not going to write those articles for free. If you want me to write for your website, you need to pay me, because my house, bills, they don't pay themselves. But the problem was, at that time, there was they had like 10 or 20 other bloggers at the time who say, oh, I'll write an article for free for you. I'll do it, no problem. So even though I would say no, all these other bloggers would say yes. But Google finally started to address this issue when they started trying to increase the quality of their search engines, the search engine rankings. So they would start paying attention where articles that were linked more and articles that were of a higher quality, more comments, etc. They would higher rankings in the search engines. I don't know if you can remember this, but you go back 10 years, people were just printing articles online that were gobbledygook, is the only way to say it. That was just nonsense. You would have all this writing spinning software that would take an article that, for example, I had written, and then just jumble the words up so that it's kind of resembles English. Well, it is English, but just doesn't make any sense. And then publish it. But then Google would actually rank those pages. They'd publish loads of them in all these different little blogs. And eventually, those websites would actually get traffic. This is what SEO companies did, and this is how they promoted a lot of big companies as well. It's not like this was exclusive to the black hat guys. I mean, a lot of big major companies were using these techniques as well. But when Google started addressing this, and they started looking at, just when I thought I had a comment there, I don't. When Google started addressing that, and they started putting a bigger emphasis on authorship and on quality, and the shoe was kind of on the other foot. You had all these companies now all of a sudden coming to me. It was in the space of about a year. I went from companies like just expecting me to write all the articles for free, to me getting like several emails every week from people saying, no, we'll pay you whatever your rate is, we want quality. And all these poor writers, all the ones that had been, using writing software and all that, they were obviously at the bottom of the pile now, and they were struggling to get work, which I've got no sympathy for, because they were just submitting garbage and just kind of filling the internet with crap, big bag of crap, which is, I think, a reference from Friends. But yeah, so I always think, I think a lot of people have always kind of devalued blogging, and I think that bloggers only really had themselves to blame, because so many of them advocated building up your blog presence and building up, links to your blog and exposure and raising your profile by writing articles for other people for free. But the way I always looked at it as, like, I always looked at it from the opinion that you can write articles for other people, and you can also get links back to your blog. Like all the websites I write for, they all link back to me and they display my profile. So sorry, I got a wee message here. So I think bloggers, not me personally, but bloggers as a whole, as a community, shot themselves in the foot with this whole guest posting thing. It really did devalue the work, because there was so many website owners that just point blank refused to pay bloggers for their work. We just started offering everything for free, To use an analogy, probably not the best one, but I mean, it's like the village bicycle, the local girl that sleeps with all the men in town and then wonders why no one marries her. Like we'd basically given everything away and our stock had depleted. But I think website owners have kind of came around and have started, the value of bloggers and the value of their work, more importantly, I think has increased, because Google's kind of forced them to recognize good writers and bad writers. But before then, it didn't matter whether you're a good writer or a bad writer. All of it was just cookie clutter. It was just crap to fill a page. They didn't care if anyone read it. So I think what Joe was saying there about blogging is hard. I can see his point. I'm not saying we've got the hardest job in the world. It's sitting in a house, when other people are commuting. It's hard for me to complain about what I've been doing for many years, but I do think that it's not everyone can do this. Maybe that's not. I think most people can blog, but I think there's a learning curve. I think there's a learning curve to blogging, just like anything else, whether it be design or coding or anything. I think you need to give it the respect that it deserves. I think you need to improve. You need to dedicate a lot of time and energy to it over the years for you to kind of reach the point where you're getting good. And it's the same. I don't see it any different from being a writer for, if you write books, publish books, or you're a journalist or whatever, practice makes perfect. So unfortunately, Joe, you're 100% right that blogging, as far as being hard, technically, it's like nothing else. It's like everything else as far as it takes time to get experience. And a lot of people just don't want to do that, and they have no attention to detail. That's something that I've actually found a lot of clients have said to me, like, oh, I didn't have to, like Bryn said that to me a few times, I didn't have to do too many edits. Because I think most people, they don't follow formatting guidelines and paragraphs and images and all that kind of thing, like I touched upon earlier. So that's my little rant out the way about blogging. I think I've ranted about that before. I think I've spoke about that a few times on the forum, but I think I've also wrote an article about it a few years ago. Brian Jackson says blogging is an art. I would agree with that. I'd definitely agree. I mean, blogging essentially, when you break it down, blogging is just writing. And I don't think you could argue that, James Joyce wasn't an artist or anything like that, So another thing that I spoke about in the forums was the fact that I'm taking YouTube seriously. I touched upon this earlier again. And I'm kind of going to, my whole approach to YouTube is kind of similar to the approach that I took to blogging. And that's my hope. My hope is that I'm going to tackle YouTube in the same way that I tackled blogging like 8-9 years ago, and that I'm accepting that I'm not good at it. And my hope is that like most of the videos that I look within the next year or two, when I look back in a couple of years, when I look back at these videos, I'm going to go, ugh, you know, because it was embarrassing how bad it was. You know, when it comes to video, I think I've got a lot to learn about presentation. The fact that in this video alone, I've been looking down here and then looking up there probably illustrates that point. But there's a lot. I think you need to learn more about being confident in front of the camera. That takes time as well before everything just becomes natural. But then you've got also like the recording aspect of it, where you've got you actually purchase the equipment, but also know the kind of, what would you say, the skill set to actually record things correctly using the correct settings. And then there's the editing side of things, which if you're really going to start doing a lot of videos, editing obviously is important. But again, even though I've said that, this kind of contradicts a little bit what I said earlier about Google Hangouts being good, because I don't have to do a lot of editing. But I do, even though I do like the fact that Google Hangouts stops me from having to edit a video and then encode it and then, you know, export it and then upload it. It just allows me to just click record and then upload it. I do recognize that editing is very important if you're going to be recording videos and then publishing on YouTube. And that's something else I need to learn about. But yeah, so my idea is just to tackle it in that respect, that I'm going to look at this perhaps from a negative point of view, where I look at it that I'm terrible, you know, I don't know anything, but just accept the fact that I don't know anything and just take it from there. And I think that's the right approach to take. I think YouTube, you know, recording videos for YouTube or podcasting, which is something else I'm hoping to do with my friend. I think if you tackle it from the point that you don't know anything and just be like a sponge and just absorb everything, I think in the long term that will help you out. You know, I mean, the opposite would be that if you just started this and you just assume that this is too easy, I can do this, etc. Again, I'm not want to be too negative, but I mean, I think I do recognize what I need to improve on and what I need to kind of focus on. And by the same time, I don't think doing videos for YouTube, like recording film and doing podcasting, this is not anything you can learn from a book. Maybe you can get little tips and tricks from a book on Amazon or whatever. But if you want to get better at this, you really need to just put yourself in front of a camera and just start recording. There's no other way around it. You can't give someone a book, How to Be a YouTube Star in 10 Easy Steps, and then, you know, like 2 weeks later, they're a YouTube star. It's very, very unlikely. I think it takes a lot of time before. Well, I think for me anyway, I don't think I'm someone who's naturally confident in front of the camera. I'm not someone who's like an extrovert that's always like the life and soul of a party. So, I mean, I think that's why I need more practice than perhaps someone who is like that. But that's my hope anyway, that I can start focusing on YouTube a bit more. I think over the last month or two, though, YouTube has definitely got more attention than my blog. So because of that, my blog has been a little bit left behind. You know, I've not been publishing many articles, etc. So I'm hoping I'm not losing my readership because of that, because I realize that if you leave a blog, you know, kind of stagnant for a while, you know, people will drift away and they don't follow you as much. But I think it was important for me to kind of take a step back from the blogging for a while and then just kind of put all my energy into learning about recording and things like that. But hopefully I can get the balance right a little bit better the next few weeks and I can start updating my blog a bit more, write some articles. But I'm really looking forward to kind of learning more about YouTube, learning more about how it all works. And my hope is, I mean, I'm going to just kind of keep plodding along the next few weeks, do some unboxing videos and do some videos about the equipment that I'm buying. I've got like an audio recorder and a microphone that's coming, and I'm hoping to pick up a camera soon. And I think when I do videos like that, I'll just keep plodding along and just keep trying to get better. But obviously, I mean, I think it'd be good if I can get a little kickstart at one point, you know, if like one video goes, I'm not going to say viral and get like 2 million hits, but I think all you really need is like 1 or 2 videos to kind of do well in the rankings in YouTube. once you're in that position, it's going to grab the attention of a lot of people, and you're going to start getting more subscribers. And then it's kind of like it was back in the day, like with blogs, when people had their feed burner count, and I think it does grow exponentially. What I saw with blogs years ago when everyone used to have a little feed burner count was that the first kind of 1,000 subscribers were always the hardest, because you're starting from scratch. You don't have much traffic. Most people don't know, anything about you. But once you start getting a few thousand subscribers, every article you publish has got a readership right away. It's got shares. In fact, I remember at the end of the blogging tips, I would sometimes publish an article and it was only like 500 words, and it wasn't it wasn't a good article. And then it could still get like 10 or 15 shares because basically I had a lot of followers. It's the same principle for YouTube. Once I get more subscribers, I think the videos will get more shares, they'll get more likes, they'll get more comments, and then we'll start going up the rankings. At the moment, I'm still, in fact, I'll check that just now. I think the last time I checked, I had 78 subscribers, which is absolutely pathetic. But I think 79. Look at that, eh? I've grown one. I think that's like the first increase I've had like a week or two. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm not too downhearted with this. I'm going to keep plodding along for the next few months and keep publishing videos. But I think what will be interesting as well, my aim is like hopefully by the end of the year is I'll have a few thousand subscribers. But what I think will be interesting is how the whole YouTube thing interacts with my blog. So what I mean by that is, while all these kind of videos help me increase readership on my blog, help me make more money from my blog, and will it help me become a better blogger? Will it present me as more professional to people? That's something I'm really keen on down the line as well. And I think the experience with YouTube will help me with podcasting. I had a podcast about 2 years ago. I only done a few episodes, and then I was traveling at the time, and I stopped. It was becoming a pain to try and arrange it. In hindsight, what I should have done was just record episodes myself and just upload them like I'm doing just now. Just talk to myself to a recorder. I'm launching a podcast with my friend Kevin. We kind of worked on a website a few years ago, a baseball website, and he launched a baseball podcast, which was quite popular. But he's kind of drifted away from the website, and the two of us are keen to start a podcast as well. And again, what I was saying just there is I think a podcast can really help a blog and a video. Everything just ties into one, like, your social media account, everything, it all helps. I think it's all about reaching out to different markets and getting people to be more interested in what you're doing. But I think we've seen, like, there's a lot of bloggers who have found a lot of success through podcasting. Like Pat Flynn's probably one of the most famous ones. He's had a podcast for a long time, and it's helped bring a lot of readers to his blog. And I mean, his blog's fantastic as well, but I mean, the podcast has obviously helped a lot. But what my friends think about doing a podcast with me is nothing to do with website, nothing to do with like internet marketing or anything like that. The general idea we had was to just talk about anything and anything, anything and anything. This is the sort of stuff you don't want to be doing in podcasting. Talk about anything and everything, or everything and anything. The general idea would be for us to just talk about stuff that week. For example, if there was a couple of big news topics that week, we could talk about it and just have a laugh about it and just talk about it. And just kind of shoot the breeze about it, just kind of hang out and talk about things that we read that week or things that were on our minds about different random subjects. I like the idea of where this can go, because a lot of the kind of my favorite podcasts, they're not focused on one specific thing, like Joe Rogan's podcast is an example of that. He's always interviewing different guests, and because of that, every episode focuses on something different. But on probably the podcast I listen to the most is Bill Burr. He's a comedian. I saw him a few years ago. He's fantastic. He's from Boston originally, but I think he's in LA now. And his podcast is hilarious. If you've never heard it, it's called Monday Morning Podcast. It's fantastic. But what I like about him, I mean, 99% of his podcasts are just him alone in a hotel room or at home just speaking into the recorder, and it just, I mean, he just talks about random things. You know, that's the thing I love about it. I mean, one week it's about, he's talking about American football, which I don't follow, but because he's funny about it, you know, I can still listen to it. But he talks about anything that was a hot topic, you know, like the Mayweather fight the other week, or just anything that was on the news, you know. And that's kind of the idea that me and Kevin have about starting a podcast this week. Well, hopefully this week. I'm having my audio recorder delivered by the weekend, so we're going to try and record a few episodes. But going back again to what I was saying, I think if I'm not sure if it's going to be a success or not, but I think it's going to be good practice for me. And I think it might, again, going back to what I was saying about how I'm a beginner with all this kind of YouTube stuff, I think doing the podcasting, it's going to be good practice for me. It's going to get me talking more and try to improve my speech and things like that as well. Feel more comfortable talking. And perhaps, who knows, I mean, maybe it could be a success, or maybe it will inspire me to launch a podcast that is about internet marketing. See, the thing is, excuse me. The thing is, I think, you know, as far as launching an internet marketing type podcast, the idea I had before 2 years ago, I called it the Business Hangout. And the idea was that I would just hang out with somebody and just talk about business related things, website stuff. And that's kind of what I've been thinking of doing with Rise Forums. You know, I would just bring a few members in, we'll just talk about some things and that. But I guess there's a part of me that's kind of scared that will get boring after a while, you know, talking about website stuff. I'm not sure if that will be the case, but I think the problem with me is I've been doing the website stuff for a long time, but I think more importantly, I've been writing about the website stuff for a long time. You know, I've been writing tutorials about WordPress and social media and things like that. And I'm scared that, you know, I'd probably go, you know, 20 episodes, everything's going great, but that there could become a point where it just becomes boring for me. And I think once, if I do reach that stage with a podcast, you know, if it was about business or internet marketing, etc., if I reach the point where it was very boring to me, I'm going to drop it. And, you know, I'm going to stop doing it because I don't want to do anything like that I don't enjoy. So that I mean, I think the idea that I have with my friend Kevin to just talk about anything and everything, I think that gives me more freedom to do the things that I enjoy, to talk about the things that inspire me, that interest me, that make me laugh. And I think that's the risk if you start talking about something like business as well. You're always going to have to be looking for people to interview, really, because, you know, I've been talking about blogging a little bit earlier on this, and if I had to do a few episodes where I was talking about blogging, I'd probably exhaust all my ideas and thoughts on blogging very quickly, and then it would get very, very boring, or more boring, depending on your perspective. So yeah, that's kind of one reason why I've not launched another kind of business or internet marketing podcast. But I got on great with my friend Kevin, and I think it'll be good for us to just kind of try it out. Who knows? It could be it could be something that we just get bored of. But I think if we do it right and we start getting listeners and we keep it fresh, you know, and we try and talk about a wide range of subjects, ranging from, again, anything and everything. You know, if we can, could be like sports one week. It could be, God, I don't know, celebrities that have did something crazy, or things that were in the news, or politics. I don't want to bore people with stuff like that, but I like us for us to talk about stuff that, even if you don't really know much about it, you'll still be able to listen to it. Because I think that's how the success of Bill Barr, I think he can talk about stuff that I have no real interest in, you know, like American football or ice hockey, which I would enjoy it if I was in America, I could sit and watch a game, but it's not. I don't read about it here. I don't watch the games here. So because I'm not an American involved and kind of listen to all the news, it doesn't really interest me. But when he talks about it, you know, it's funny and it's it's interesting because he's laughing about it. And I think I need to kind of keep that kind of concept in mind, where hopefully if we talk about stuff that other people don't have an interest in, if it is sports or politics, whatever, hopefully it's something that is still interesting so that our core audience will still enjoy it. But again, who knows? I mean, at this point, I think I'm just going to do a bit of trial and error. It's at the point I'm just nothing to lose, you know. I think that's the best way to look at it with the whole podcast thing as well. Just take the same approach to YouTube. Just assume that everything you do with podcasting at the beginning is terrible. That's be negative about it and just enjoy yourself, enjoy doing it, and take it from there. The one thing, another thing that's that I've read about recently is, this is something that people that watch YouTube probably don't realize, but is how serious to take edits as far as cutting things out. This was something I had a discussion with my friend about the podcast. Now I'm again, as I said earlier with Google Hangouts, I like the idea. I can just do this for an hour and then stream it and get it online. I mean, if I say, for example, again, all the stuff I've been talking about today has been off the top of my head, which is perhaps why I've repeated myself a few times and then started to talk about something and went off on a tangent. In future episodes, I'll try and have some sort of script so that I don't do that. But like everything about this is only going to take, like, say, for example, 1 hour. And then I record it in 1 hour, and then everything else, Google handles it. It handles all the uploading and all the streaming and all the publishing to my channel. And that's one thing that appeals to me, this kind of minimal approach to doing that kind of thing. Again, I'm not going to do that all the time, but it's something that I'd like to do from time to time. You know, if I've got a spare hour, I can, like, for example, I've had a list of all the topics I've spoke about so far in this video. I mean, I've talked about blogging, I've talked about podcasting and doing YouTube and things. But say I had a list of these items, I'm going to cover this, I'm going to cover that. Now, if I had to do those videos individually, I might find that it might take me 20 minutes or half an hour to record a video, but then I need to spend half an hour, I don't know, it could be half an hour editing a video, then I need to upload it to YouTube and all that. All of a sudden, what I'm doing just now, taking an hour, becomes 4 hours and 5 hours. And that's, again, this is one of the appeals of doing this live and just streaming it and then getting it on the channel, because Google takes care of a lot of the kind of work that I'd have to do otherwise. But I was talking to my friend about this with the podcast, and I was kind of just saying, we were talking about mistakes and that, and he said that, you know, in the last podcast he did with his friends, they would do a lot of edits, and that's something I really don't want to go down that route. Like, again, to use the Bill Burr podcast as an example, the Monday morning podcast, I like the idea where mistakes are just still in it, you know, and it's natural. You know, if you mess up, you know. There's always a chance your mind goes blank. Well, if you're recording yourself like I am, but I think when there's two people, that's never a problem. But yeah, I mean, I think just leave the mistakes in. It feels more natural. And I mean, I think the chances of two people's minds going blank at the same time and they don't know what to say is, you know, it's very, very slim. And I think as well, like, I mean, at what point does editing just become just pointless? You know, like, I could go through this whole hour of video and then cut out the times that I misspoke, and, you know, the times where I go and all that kind of thing. And I could do the same with a podcast, but it becomes counterproductive to do that. And it becomes very time consuming. And at the end of the day, you're doing a lot of edits about things that people either don't notice or don't care about. And also from an editing point of view, you know, if you do all these edits, you know, and you don't do it right, all of a sudden your voice starts it becomes robotic and it doesn't sound natural. You can do little simple things, you know, with Audacity and with Premiere Pro, etc., where you can reduce the levels and you can try and get rid of like the heavy breathing when you go, you know, and you seem like a sex pest in your podcast or your video. But as far as spending hours like editing a video, I really don't want to do that. My whole idea with like doing a podcast and with doing a live stream anyway, is basically just click record the podcast or the video, click stop and upload. just, I mean, check that it sounds okay and all that kind of thing. You know, make sure everything's okay and it sounds okay. But this whole approach to doing over editing things, I don't see the benefit of it. I mean, what benefit is there really? It's not like I'm going live to 5 million people, you know, and it's not like I'll be selling this stuff on DVD. I think people realize there's going to be mistakes. Got it. So first comment that just says EY from Benja Proxy Troll. Oh well, that's quite interesting. I've got my first comment and it makes no sense whatsoever. Thanks for that. That came 38 minutes ago. I'm off to a flyer with this Google Hangout stuff. First comment, EY. Thank you. I'm really pleased that I got that comment. Oh well, look on the bright side, eh? Didn't say anything offensive. He just said something that made absolutely no sense. So I think what's that? That's close to an hour now. So I think I'll tie this up soon. So yeah, I mean this episode's been a bit mixed up. You know, I've spoke a little bit about blogging. I've spoke a little bit about what I'm trying to do with the whole YouTube thing, and then I've kind of touched upon the podcasting thing. Went off on a few different tangents, so I apologize for that. But again, this was really just about me trying to get practice with this, with doing a kind of live event, and for me kind of get used to the Google Hangouts thing. Now, like this time, I mean, like most bloggers, I've got an email list with subscribers, and when I do this again, it'd be good if I can try and get a time where people can turn up and then just watch it. I mean, even if I just a couple of people watching the video at live and commenting, it means I can interact. You know, I won't have to follow a script. You know, I can just basically sit here and just listen to the questions coming in and just answer them live. The same way it would happen on something like Ustream.tv or whatever. Well, that's my hope anyway. If I can get a few watchers and a few commenters, it would really change it. But until, I mean, I realise the fact that I'm not in that position yet. There's a chance that some of my videos will, if I send out an email blast to my subscribers, I could get a lot of people clicking in and watching it live rather than just watching it later on YouTube. But I mean, I think until then, though, if I do these kind of events again, what I'll do is I'll just have a small list of topics that I'll talk about, and then, excuse me, I'll wait till I kind of reach the point where I've got a bigger readership, and then I can start interacting with people in comments, and then the kind of dynamic of these live events would change. But I'm not sure what my next live hangout will be focused on. Again, I think with the internet marketing side of things, the business side of things, it would be good for me to have people from Rise forums to talk about with, because I think me talking about business stuff, I'm kind of boring myself talking about it a little bit, you know, I'll end up going over the same topics over and over. But things like, I think with a technology, you know, topic, if I had to do like a tech hangout, I've not named it yet, but something like the tech hangout, I think there's a lot more for me to talk about. There's a lot more for me to rant about. I've not really looked into this much, but I've always looked at Google Hangouts as something that you do for like half an hour to an hour. When I actually started clicking record at the start, and I clicked on the start broadcast button, it came up that I was allowed to stream for 8 hours, which is absolutely ridiculous. Oh God, man, I think at the end of 8 hours I'll be annoying myself. But I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how other YouTubers are using this Google Hangout as far as, are they using, I mean, is anyone using Google Hangouts just as a lazy way to publish videos online? As far as, for example, I've got a list of topics to talk about on my YouTube channel soon, you know, not unboxings, but just like random thoughts that I'd like to talk about and then get the opinion of others. Would I, like, I might as well just using a good camera, recording it and then uploading it and doing it all that way. But if I'm being really lazy, you know, from a time perspective, I could do like click start broadcast, record a 5 or 10 minute video and then just stop and it's uploaded to my YouTube channel. Something for me to ponder, something for me to think about. I think the thing is, although people aren't actually doing it, like using Google Hangouts in that way, it could arguably be a better way of doing it, because I mean, this video is going to be about an hour long and most people probably don't want to sit through this, you know, like a full hour long video. I'm one of those freaks that do sit and watch long YouTube videos, but I think a lot of people don't have the patience for it. So if I can do like a little 5-10 minute videos, it's probably going to convert better. But if anyone want to participate in one of these Hangouts with me, give me a shout. Give me a shout about it, and just, you know, buzz me through email or Twitter or whatever. We can try and arrange something. But other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a little bit topsy-turvy with what the topics I've been talking about. But it was really just to try and work out how this, you know, how the new version of Google Hangout works. Something I used to use quite a lot, actually, a couple of years ago, but they've added a lot more apps. So they've kind of changed how it all, you know, how you start it all as well. They've kind of, not by a huge amount, but they have kind of modified the kind of process of launching it. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed watching, listening to me rant. Hopefully I'll do this again. If you've got any questions, do send them. I'll do my best to answer them. Yeah. So after I stop this in a few minutes, this will get synced to my YouTube channel and you can listen to it, watch it anytime, which you're probably doing just now. So if you leave a comment there, if I can't answer it in another video, then I can always just answer directly via the comment area on YouTube. But if you'd like to know more about me, kevinmuldoon.com, but please do join riseforums.com. We have a lot of good members, most of which are smarter than me and have more experience than me in coding and design. So if you've got any questions about running websites and marketing, things like that, please do drop by. Got a lot of good members there. I'm quite lucky in that respect. I think, you know, you've always got a vision with these kind of communities, how they're going to go, but we've got a good group of members. I'm really, really pleased with it. And I think it's just going to go strength. You know, it's just going to go from strength to strength. So please do, if you've got a website, you know, or you're doing, or if you're doing YouTubing, you know, if you're a YouTuber, please do drop by as well, because I need other people to talk about YouTube. And at the moment, there's not any other members that are doing that. So, you know, if you're doing anything online like that, try to make money online, try to build websites or doing anything with social media, please do drop by riseforums.com. Love to have you there. And it's a good group of people. And if you're a spammer, please do not come, because you're not welcome and you will be banned and thrown a big bag of fire. Till next time, guys. Thanks.